Pay no attention when I'm talking.
Why?
Why? Don't ask why. Do as you're told. You're in the army, son.
Towards the end of the Second World War, Kenneth Williams was called up into the Royal Engineers. He then transferred to Combined Services Entertainment in the Far East, where he served alongside Peter Nichols, who wrote Privates on Parade as a result of those experiences.
Fine.
Extraordinary. Kenneth Williams, Stanley Baxter, John Schlesinger, the film director, who was then a conjurer. And we all joined up to do a play, which was then cancelled because of some contractual thing. So we were stuck suddenly. We thought, God, we're going to be returned to unit. The dreaded words were RTU, return to unit. And we thought, we can't be returned to unit, do all that cookhouse stuff again. So we got up a concert party, and it was called At Your Service. Privates on Parade, the play I wrote later that was based on it.
Ah, there you are! Look, girls, Leonora has finally condescended to join us. And Miss Morgan.
Sorry I'm late, Terry.
Well, don't mind me, Terry. You told me to get these umbrellas from the fucking stores. You dare speak to an officer like that and I'll scream the place down. Give them out this instant. Who's your friend?
Private Flowers, sir. I'm going to be attached to your section.
Sounds heaven. Sweetie, I can hardly wait to attach you to my section.
I didn't know what a homosexual was in those days. You know, I was a bit like Queen Victoria. There was a whole world of people who spoke a special language, who had a special way of viewing the world. It was a sort of beleaguered minority that produced camp.
Well, I believe the word camp has actually found its way into the addenda of the OED.
I beg your pardon?
It's found its way into the addenda of the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, and it's defined there as that which is fundamentally frivolous. And I suppose that's about the nearest you'd get to an academic definition of it. What I think the general, current interpretation of the word is always that which is verging on the effeminate, that sort of thing, which is ludicrous to say that about me, because I've personified what you might call the butch element in light entertainment sometime now.
Yes, indeed. We were all army, but the family was supposed to entertain, and the OC lined us up. So now, because you're entertainers, I understand that, war act, that's fine, but I want you to go about behaving like soldiers. I will not have a lot of this effeminacy and mincing about. You could hear in the back row, get the madam. Don't try that on with me. I was surviving a dinner. You can't teach me anything. I know about the prayers. Heaven knows what he did without a dinner. And there was all this anger about any kind of effeminacy, and our opening number in the review was, we wanted to come on, you see, singing, "We're boys of the service, we're at your service, entertaining you." One of those sort of openings, you see. And he watched this, oh, dreadful, boys of the service, dreadful, too effeminate, and all those sibilants, boys of the service, terrible. No, let's make it men. Men of the service. Now go back off and come on again and sing. Men. So we all came down. We're men of the service. He said, yes, that's more like it. Yes, he said. Turn your old fellow men.
In 1947, Kenneth Williams was demobbed. Fired up by his CSE experiences, he returned home determined to become an actor. Although he had no formal training, he went on to have a highly successful career, starting in provincial rep and continuing through film, television and West End theatre. His first leading role was as the Dauphin in Shaw's St. Joan.
I remember this very well, this production, because in the Chinon scene, the bishop had this great diatribe to Joan, saying, "You stand alone, utterly alone. The Dauphin will not help you. The Bastard of Orleans will not help you. They told you stand utterly alone with your own impiety, your own arrogance, your own self-willed pride." And she had this speech afterwards, very moving, about, "If I go through the fire, I will go through it to their hearts forever and ever, so God be with me." And the whole thing depended on the furor that was aroused by this great, "You stand alone, utterly alone, with your own ignorance, your own impiety, your own arrogance." And on this particular night, this old boy playing this bishop, covered in cloth of gold and a mitre and this great crook, he forgot everything. I mean, he said, you're on your own, you are. Yes, well, you stand, they've all told you, you stand on, you're on your own, and, oh dear, what is this? And he went to the front corner. What is it? What is the line? It's got the thank you, dear. You stand with your lonely party, you're an arrogant soul, thank you very much, it's very kind of you. And he said, I'm sorry about this, it was a very difficult play. Very difficult play. So, just bear with us, you see, it's a very difficult play. And meanwhile, Siobhan standing, and she was starting to laugh, you see. And it ruined the thing as far as she was concerned, because then that her bit about if I go to the fire was all for her loss, and she came off furious. And I'm going to see him. I'm going off to his room. I'm going to have it out. I'm going to have it out with him, you see. And she was really very angry. And she was going to go up to see him. And Frank Royd, this old boy, he was all in this cloth of gold and boiling hot. And he was relaxed, you know. He always relaxed in the dressing room with pull this gold up. And this lighter. It was boiling hot, and he put the legs up, you see. And yes, I'm afraid there wasn't any underwear. And she went in there full of anger and came out quite quickly. And I said to her on the stairs, do you have it out with him, sir? It's out already, himself.
I think he was a wonderful actor, actually, particularly at the beginning of his career. His Dauphin, St. Joan, was superb. And all the shows he did some plays with Maggie Smith. He did Private Eye and Public Ear, Peter Schaffer play. I think the thing about him was he had a superb kind of vocal range. He had absolute control over an audience. He knew exactly when to let them laugh and when not to let them laugh.
Perhaps his greatest theatrical success was in Revue, to which both his acting and his comic talents were particularly suited. His leading ladies have mixed recollections of this period.
I did one with him called One Over the Eight. And that gave leash to his originality, because he never stuck to the script.
After a while, Kenneth began to notice particular lines of mine which had been very good and had been retained, not chucked out in the general sort of ad-lib atmosphere. And if they were getting very good laughs, suddenly the next night I would find that either I didn't get the cue for them, or he spoke the lines himself.
I thought he was limited as a straight actor. He had such a strange way of speaking, and it seemed always to be consist so much of self-mockery.
Laurence Olivier showed me a letter from his agent which said, in essence, would there be a line of parts in your company for my client, Kenneth Williams? And Larry said, I can't employ him because his audience would come to the Old Vic expecting to see him doing more than Kenneth Williams. And he said, it won't work. I mean, I thought he was wrong. I thought he should have, because he had him into the company, because I thought he could play any part, really, Kenneth, and in any period.
He had a very low boredom threshold. Didn't like the thing being 8 times a week. Well, all shows are. And he didn't like it running more than about a month or 6 weeks, which is all the time you need, really, for all your finest friends to come and see you. And after that, really, he was fed up and didn't want to do it anymore.
While still performing in Revue, Kenneth Williams began his radio career in Hancock's Half Hour. The series was written by Ray Galton and Alan Simpson.
I used to, come in about 10:30 on a Sunday morning and read through, and Ken would literally fall about laughter, and had this enormous guffaw. And it was very infectious. I mean, he'd have all the others laughing because he was laughing so much. He was, oh, it's wonderful, it's so funny, it's hysterical. Go on and do it, and go well. And then he went back to his lodgings, got the pen out, opened a bottle of vitriol.
Did the Hancock show from the Piccadilly. It was a general disaster, really terrible. This team is so dreary to me now. How different to the jolly warmth of Beyond Our Ken. This crowd, especially James and Hancock, are so listless and disinterested. And their conversation is real pleb stuff. I don't care for any of them at all.